I'm fired up about this. Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Our friend Tom Luginbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. The show is driven by your next GMC Sierra truck, GMC Yukon. Fowler GMC, Pearl branded, locally owned. FowlerGMC.com. We're going to drop some audio real quick. And then we're going to ask Tom Luginbill about it. This is Dabo Swinney after losing another game, and they lost to Duke over the weekend.
That was a really brutal year, and, lost at home here to South Carolina. Thought I was getting fired right here in this room, actually. I walked out right there and walked around, and Kath, may get fired today. Graham's sitting in the back there, so I don't know.
All right, so he was referencing his athletic director. I wouldn't have done that, but Dabo and Freeze do a little too much sometimes in press conference, say a little too much. Tom Luginbill, welcome to the show. If I would have told you that Clemson, with what we talked about in the offseason, everything they were bringing back, if I would have told you that they're 3-5, 2-4 in the ACC coming out of Week 10, what would you have said?
I would have said that T.J. Parker, Peter Woods, Sammy Brown, T.J. Moore, Cade Klubnik, and Bryant Wesco all got hurt in the first week of the season.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that should have happened.
So you have been close to this program for a long time. I mean, you've been in all these football buildings over the years.
Yeah.
But you live in that area. You have a lake house near that area. You've gotten to know a lot of these guys that have gone through and so on. What I get, I thought he went a little overboard on not embracing the portal. I'm not saying he has to sign 34 players a year, but 8 to 12, along with the high school recruiting that they do, which is excellent, may work out. Where are we going? Could you envision a scenario? Because he's talking about 14. We've had a good 14 years. Like, he's talking about stuff that happened in the past, almost like he's leaving, although he's not. Could you see a mutual parting of the ways just because it's been a long time and it doesn't look like it's working the last 2 years, Luke?
Well, to answer the question about the portal, the thing that's ironic about it is basically one of the best players on his team right now is a portal guy, and that's Will Helt, the defensive end from Purdue. And so it kind of furthers your point that, maybe you get 4 or 5 of those, and you've really upgraded your roster, and you've brought it into what is a very healthy locker room, a very healthy foundation. They know exactly who they are. They've built it upon pillar upon pillar. So, I think he could maybe do a little bit more. I know what his worry is. His worry is that he brings people in, and they don't buy in. They're not ingrained. They haven't known the Clemson way, and that worries about him. It worries him about team chemistry, and I get that. Like, I can see that. I think with him, I think when he speaks and he brings up, 12 ACC championships, 4 national championship games, 2 national championships, that, you guys all think it's so bad around here. And if you think the grass is greener somewhere else, by all means. And I get that too, Bo. Like, wouldn't you be frustrated if you were him with the body of work that you have? And then now all of a sudden you're not afforded a down year, like you're not afforded a year that, didn't go the way, that you were hoping or that you thought it would go. Now, some people may push back and say, well, what about James Franklin? He wasn't afforded that down year. Yeah, but James Franklin doesn't have the equity that Dabo Swinney has.
True.
And that's 2 different conversations.
It is.
And so I get where Dabo's coming from. And I don't think he's wrong, but the problem is nobody wants to hear it.
That's right.
Right? It doesn't matter. They don't care whose leg got broken. They don't care about an officiating call. It doesn't matter. But he's not wrong in saying, okay, well, it's just like Gus Malzahn at Auburn. Was I such a bad option? Because look at the place since I left.
Great point. No, look, we talk about this all the time. It's easy to fire someone, but the question is, can you go get someone? Can you upgrade? It's not
right.
The overwhelming majority of the time, it's not easy to upgrade. I can't tell me what you're seeing though from the team. I mean, you're right. It was one of the it was a top 3 program in the 2000s. Bama, Georgia, and and Clemson. And if we want to go before Southern Cal's run 03 to 08, whatever. But top 5 program in the 2000s. What are you seeing? What's going on in Clemson?
I got to be honest with you. The quarterback's not anywhere near as good as people wanted to make him out to be coming into this season. And he had a big year a year ago, and he started to come on, and he was kind of looking like he's turned the corner. But I don't know if he's a guy that elevates your program. Like, I don't know if he's a guy that can take one thing and then bring it up to the next level. I think kind of what you see is what you get. He's actually very similar to Shedeur Sanders. And so when that position wasn't as talented as you were hoping or thought it would be, obviously that has a ripple effect across the rest of your roster. I think the frustrating thing about that team is that for so long they had done such a good job dealing with success, meaning everybody's telling you how good you are. Yeah, well, we don't care. We're still hungry. Yeah, well, we don't care. We still got a chip on our shoulder. And we're going to go out and prove it each and every weekend. And this team doesn't have that mentality. This team has a bit of a we've arrived mentality and not the we still have to prove it mentality. And that's the first time in a long time I've seen that out of a Dabo Swinney coach team.
I just wonder where this is going. I mean, they're not going to fire him, but I wonder if he's getting to the point where he's like, I need a new spot. It's been a long time. You're right. Expectations are absurd, but they're ridiculous everywhere. And yes, you just nailed it, Lugs. He spoiled their fan base, but people want to, the people that are buying the $70,000 suites, they want to win. And and the club levels.
Keep in mind, you become so conditioned as a fan or a booster or a broker or a donator, whatever it is. You become so conditioned when things are going so good for so long to think that it's easy.
Right.
And what they don't realize, the outsiders looking in don't realize, is the more success you have, the harder it gets. Because now every little thing is more scrutinized. We have to be even better than we were before. There is no room for error. You're not allowed to have a slip up. Like when you're building the thing, you're allowed all of those things, but not anymore.
Tom Luginbill on the Out of Bounds show. Let's go to Hugh Freeze. If I would have told you that Freeze takes over Auburn and never gets the offense up and rolling, but DJ, well, you wouldn't have been surprised with this last part, but DJ Durkin holds dozens of teams to 20 to 24 points, what would you have said the fact that Freeze couldn't ever get this thing going, Luke's?
I would be very, very surprised. Very surprised. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's had a tremendous amount of offensive success everywhere he's been. And I don't buy into the garbage notion, it's a middle school offense, it's a high school offense. Really? Have you looked across college football and how many people are running that exact same offense that have all come off of some version of that tree, whether it's Rhett Lashley, whether it's Tony Elliott, whether it's Gus Malzahn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people that have been very successful offensively that are running that deal. I think what happened to them is, although they upgraded the talent, and he did do that because that is a far more talented team than the one that he took over. They couldn't quite get it right at quarterback. They paid the wrong people in the offensive line. And quite honestly, they were one of the most sloppy offensive football teams in college football this year. Heavily penalized, poor execution, bad assignment football. And that's the part that I think, everybody wants to talk about play calling, or they want to talk about the quarterback. Well, when you're committing 11, 12, 13 penalties a game, you can talk all you want about everything else, but that's where you start, right? When you're getting physically whipped up front by Kentucky, all right, it's hard to do anything on offense. And so, it's a variety of factors that go into it. And they never got that hump game, right? Like that game that kind of turns the corner for you. It just never came. And you can't say that was the Arkansas game. Because Arkansas has just gone just downhill so fast and hasn't won a game since they fired Sam Pittman. So, it's tough, but I will say this. he forced the administration's hand. What happened on Saturday night cannot happen. You cannot lose to that team at home.
Right.
So this, I think going into last week, and I really believe this, and I think it was the correct line of thinking, is we have so many jobs that are open, it's oversaturated. We have so many people being talked about for these jobs, it's oversaturated. So going into last week, okay, prior to the Kentucky game, if you're Auburn and you're coming off of that Arkansas win, you might be thinking, hey, listen, let's ride this thing out until the next cycle. And if he ends up turning the corner, we're in the clear. If he doesn't, we're in a better position to be more attractive to whoever's out there, because right now, you're up against Florida. You're up against LSU. And so what is going to be an acceptable upgrade, all right, if you make that move? Now, I'm thinking this way before the Kentucky game. And that's why I said then the Kentucky game happens, and he forces the administration's hand. He's left him with no choice. And he knows that. Sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think John Cohen was like, okay, if we win this weekend and there's some other W's, we can do what you just said, and we're going to stand pat. And we still have a coach that, like you said, has been able to do it before, so maybe he'll turn the corner. All right, we've talked about Jeff Lebby and the struggle of last year, which was a disaster at 2-10. This year has looked different. They got a good win against Arizona State, and then they were up 2 touchdowns on Tennessee and Texas. So,
yeah,
they go to Arkansas, and you're right, Arkansas is not good, but for where this program is, they're down 2 touchdowns. Did you see any of the highlights of Kamario Taylor and what he did? And then Blake Shapen is inserted back into the game, and he goes 8 for 12 for like $120 and a TD to finish it out, Luke.
I thought it was a yeoman's effort. As you've mentioned, this team, and when you're trying to build it, you're trying to get the buy-in, and you're close. You're really close. And you're close, and your kids have been let down, but they kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then they get this win. I mean, you heard me just talk about kind of a hump win or that turning point. That could be Mississippi State this past weekend. You're down by 14. You've got to insert your backup quarterback. Your starting quarterback comes in, and then he rips off, a 75-yard drive, a 60-plus yard drive, a 40-plus yard drive to get you over the top and finish the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, what a statement for a bunch of kids that have had some heartbreakers this fall. And he's done a really good job, man. And listen, that job's harder than every other iteration of that job has ever been before, because of the current landscape of college football, right? Like everybody, not to get off point with Mississippi State, but it's a great example of the climate that we're in right now, Bo, because everybody wants to compare what Nick Saban did at LSU and what Les Miles did at LSU, and then Brian Kelly couldn't do that, or Jim Harbaugh did at Michigan, or Urban Meyer. You can't compare it, because those guys did not have to put it together in today's world, and it's a totally different animal. It's a totally different process. And so now Jeff Lebby's having to do that. And so far, I think the returns are positive.
Yeah, huge win, regardless of where Arkansas is. And those 18 penalties for 193, man, Petrino, you got to give him, credit on that. Do you think that Urban Meyer would strongly consider coming out of retirement / media if the right job, and I know it's got to be a top 3 job, and we have one open in LSU, and a top 10 job in Florida, and a top 10 job in Penn State. But do you think that Urban Meyer drives around to and from work, his part-time deal, and thinks about coming back to coach at all, Luke?
I don't know how he can't think about it, but I also think that he's aware enough to know that it's not the game he left. Right? And the process and the different nuances and variances of how you have to do it now, would all of that junk interest him? Right? Because the playing field has been so leveled. And I say this I feel like I'm a broken record each and every week, but there's a reason why we keep seeing one possession games every week.
Which is awesome.
It is awesome. It's great for college football, but it's also a message that is telling everybody to do what Nick Saban did again, to do what Urban Meyer did at Florida and Ohio State again, it's probably not likely. It's probably not going to happen, because if you don't do it in 2 or 3 years, as we're seeing right now, you're done. And so you have to ask the question with Urban Meyer, do you want to deal with that at your age? You have all the money you could ever possibly ask for, generational wealth. You're having fun doing the media stuff. The only job that I might say that could potentially entice him is if any of that rumor mill stuff is legit with Sark. That Texas job could be something that I would think he would give a long look at.
Okay, and I think Tom Luginbill is referencing the NFL rumors about.
Yeah,
I've always thought Lane and Sark would love to get back in the NFL. They're both rolling right now, but the NFL, you don't have to deal with any of the headaches that Luke's just rolled through, because the general manager in that whole division just gives you your team and then you coach it. So, okay, I want to go. Let's go through some quick hit power rankings with Tom Luginbill right here on the Out of Bounds Show. Brought to you by Martin's and Livingston, Stella Artois and Wings. That is a winning combo. All right, Tom Luginbill, as we're marching into November, who are the 3 or 4 best teams in the country today that you believe can go all the way through the gauntlet and withstand maybe a few more injuries like everybody's going to have and be there in the end?
I believe that we could be looking at a scenario where you have Ohio State and Indiana, Alabama and A&M both playing the conference championship game, yet all 4 teams are still top 4 seeds.
Wow.
Barring a blowout in one of those games, which I don't think that you would have that with how those 4 teams are playing right now, those 4 have clearly separated themselves from everybody else right now. And while I like Georgia, just keeps turning up like a bad penny. Ole Miss controls everything right in front of them. They can't avoid. They got to avoid a November slip up like they had a year ago. Obviously you've got Oregon there lingering.
How good's Oregon? Real quick.
I think they're really good. I really do. But I also don't think the Big Ten 10 is worth a damn. I mean, look at it. I mean, you have way more competitive balance in the ACC than you have in the Big Ten. Right now, you've got an SMU, a Duke, a Louisville, a Virginia, a Georgia Tech. I'm probably missing somebody, but got teams that could all knock somebody out, right? The Big Ten doesn't have that. Right. And so, but I do think Oregon's very, very good. They're athletic and they're explosive. They can play up front. But then, you've got the teams like the BYUs and the Texas Techs, right? And look at the Texas Longhorns right now. If they finish 10-2, they're in.
Yeah.
Because right now, Arch Manning is playing lights out.
And they play at Georgia next weekend.
Yep.
So
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. All right. People think that Georgia's going to blow out Mississippi State. It's an 11. Talk to me real quick. You've called games at 11 a.m. and you've called games at 9 o'clock at night. Okay. So real quick here. Georgia knows they have more talent. I don't know if they're going to be interested in getting on a plane on Friday, going to Starkville, quick hit, 11 a.m. game. They just came off a physical game against Florida, which they kind of woke up just to win. So walk me through. Would you be shocked, or Bo? No, I wouldn't be surprised if Mississippi State was within a score with 7 minutes to left in the fourth quarter Saturday.
Wouldn't be surprised one bit. Would not be surprised one bit. I don't care if that game's at 11 a.m., which actually might help Mississippi State, right? I don't care if that game's at night. We all know what it is and have experienced being backed up in the closed end zone with the cowbells. I think field position is going to play a huge part of that game, because you want to get that involved when you're Mississippi State on defense. The thing with Georgia is they just find a way, right? Like, there's nothing special about them. You don't get wowed. You respect them and appreciate them because they are really good, and what they have kind of been is fairly consistent. But I think that just as we've seen, if you get into the fourth quarter with them, And we've seen that for 2 weeks in a row now with Mississippi State. Who's to say they can't do it at home?
Right. All right, I want to throw a game out at you that a team that you just referenced could be walking into a little bit of a buzzsaw too. Georgia may be with Mississippi State. Oregon going on the road to Iowa. And the way that Iowa loves to play 13 to 10 games and play, I know they don't believe in offense, but my God, on defense they've been really good. Could they be walking into a little bit of a buzzsaw this weekend?
I don't think there's any question. I don't know if you've ever been there, but Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City is a really difficult place to play.
Okay.
I mean, it is loud. They are right on top of you. Got a little bit, without the cowbells, a little bit the same feel of Starkville a little bit. And they really know how to handle a home game environment. And you got to go back and look at that Iowa-Indiana game. Remember, Indiana did not. It's the only game Indiana hasn't gone and boat raced everybody on offense. And they had to score a touchdown late to win the game 2015. So, I think there's probably some lessons in that game that Oregon can draw from. But, yeah, I would be concerned. The question is, athlete for athlete, could they hold? I mean, if Oregon got a 2-touchdown lead, can Iowa crawl out of a hole? And I think we all know the answer is probably not.
Okay. What, man, is this season crazy or what?
It's unbelievable. And I love every ounce of it. I really felt heavily that coming into the season that it was something you could kind of see coming, and you knew, like, all right, if you have a quarterback, if the talent's leveled out everywhere else, then you're going to be in a lot of one-possession games. I mean, look at Virginia, for crying out loud. All right? They've had 4 games that have gone down to the last minute and 3 overtime games. They've won every single one of them.
Unbelievable.
They are the 2025 version of TCU.
Yeah.
TCU did the exact same thing in 2022.
That's right. And Tony Elliott was all but fired. And
did a great job getting transfer portal. He did an unbelievable job.
Yeah. I looked last night and I can't remember where the quarterback's from. It was somewhere obscure. North Texas or something.
No, it's Chandler Morris. It's Chad Morris's son.
Oh, okay. Boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Tom Luginbill, we appreciate it, my man. We'll talk next week, okay?
All right. Thanks, buddy. See you.
Tom Luginbill, part of ESPN's college football team. Just on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brought to you by Mills Contracting, assisted living facilities, renovating state parks, community centers in Starkville, and strip malls anywhere and everywhere. Mills Contracting is right there in Gluckstadt. Matt Mills and the team, over 35 years of construction experience, GC experience. Call them today. Mills Contracting. Thanks for listening to the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And don't forget lunch today, Burgers Blues Barbecue. Chicken fried chicken is the blue plate, plus they have smash burgers. It's in Dogwood, Flowood. Burgers Blues Barbecue, B3, Dogwood, Flowood. We'll see you tomorrow.